Have I saved enough money? We ask ourselves that question, of course, the few years leading up to retirement. Gosh, I've been putting monies away. Have I saved enough? To answer this question for ourselves, there's two steps that we need to take. Let's talk about the first step together. We call it KYN, know your numbers. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is this. We need to know exactly our numbers for our retirement savings. How much do we have saved in our 401ks, our IRAs, our ESOP plans, our 403bs, our lump sums and pensions, whatever it may be? We need to know that we have that number in hand at all times. You'd be surprised when I talk to people, they don't know how much they have in their retirement plans, in their retirement accounts. As we get closer to retirement, we need to know that number. Second one, fixed costs and retirement costs. Cash flow is king, folks. When we enter retirement, we need to know how much we plan to withdraw to maintain the type of lifestyle that we want in retirement. And that dives down to fixed costs and retirement costs. We're going to talk about that here very shortly. We need to know debts, what we owe on a mortgage, credit cards, car payments, whatever those may be, whatever liabilities we have, we need to know how much that is and when to pay that off. And of course, Social Security. You get your estimates from the Social Security Department. What is going to be at 62, full retirement age, whatever that may be for yourself. You need to know that number. Now let's dive deeper. Fixed costs and retirement costs. So what are these? Again, like I mentioned, cash flow is going to be king for you. When you enter retirement, you need to know how much you want for your retirement to maintain the type of lifestyle that you want. So in order to do that, we need to know our fixed costs and we need to know our retirement costs. Now let's start with the fixed costs. What are those? It's the mortgage, it's your rent, groceries, anything related to the car, maintenance, gas, you name it, that kind of stuff. Debt, utilities, electricity, trash, water, sewage, whatever that may be, and of course insurance. Those are just a few of them. But we need to know what our numbers are, what our fixed costs are on a monthly basis to, in a sense, keep the everyday regular life that we have. Now, once we know our fixed costs, we need to know what our retirement costs are going to be. That's the fun costs. You've worked too hard not to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So we need to know what you want to spend for travel, for vacations, to spend with the family and your hobbies and everything else. So when I sit down with folks, I ask them, well, what's your lifestyle going to look like when you retire? What do you want to do? And they start naming off, oh, I need the mortgage, I have the debt, I have this. Like, no. Yes, include that, but also too, what do you want to do in retirement? Add that in there so that when you receive that distribution each month for your retirement, it includes the money so you can go golfing. You can spend time with the grandkids or the kids or whatever that may be. So we need to know before we retire, we need to know what our fixed costs are. We need to know what our retirement costs are. Once we know those two numbers, that creates our retirement lifestyle number. So now I encourage you to jot this down. And this basically, in a sense, this is going to be a budget for yourselves. Write this down for yourself before you retire to know how much you need on a monthly basis. But this is going to be an important number because we're going to come back to this now in a few minutes. But you need to know your retirement lifestyle. That's the first part of answering the question of do I have enough money saved for retirement? Now let's talk about the second part, the percentage test, the 4 to 6% rule. Now, you may have heard of the 4% rule before. Experts, professionals have talked about it for decades. The 4% rule basically, in a sense, is if you can withdraw 4% from the total amount that you have saved for your retirement plans, and you can live off of that, the odds of the balance of your retirement account lasting your lifetime and then some is extremely high. Now, professionals, experts have been arguing over that now for years, the 4% rule. Is it outdated? Is it up to date? My own personal opinion, because of what's happening in today's day and age, if we can stay in between 4 to 6%, we're going to be in really good shape. So let's talk about this further. How do we calculate this for ourselves to see if we can withdraw between 4 to 6% of our retirement portfolio. Because if we can, that's going to check off the box and definitely answer the question of, have I saved enough money for retirement? This will do that. So how do we calculate it for ourselves? There's a formula. And if you want to take notes, feel free. Tomorrow, I'm going to send you a recording of this webinar and the notes for it. So if you want to just watch, feel free. If you want to take notes, go for it. But the first thing we have to do to see if we fit in that 4 to 6% marker is we have to know, again, our retirement lifestyle, our annual retirement lifestyle. So make a note of that. What are we going to spend on an annual basis for our retirement? You're going to want to divide that over what you have saved for your retirement, so your retirement savings. When you divide that, that's going to give you a fraction. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to multiply that by 100. And hopefully that number gives you between 4 to 6%. Now, let's go over an example here. Let's say Joe's planning for his retirement. He was able to save $1.5 million. Him and his wife sat down and they said, you know what, Isaiah? We agreed upon that we need $7,000 per month to live off of for retirement. And that comes out to $84,000. So what they did was they did the percentage test. They divided what they needed per year, $84,000. They divided that by what they have saved for retirement, which is 1.5. They multiplied that by 100, and that came out with 5.6%. They're within that 4 to 6% marker. What that means is that they've been able to save enough money for retirement, $1.5 million, to pay for the type of lifestyle that they want in retirement. So again, I'll repeat myself. If we can do this for ourselves, and if we're in that 4 to 6% marker, that tells us right off the bat that we have enough money saved for our retirement. Now let's switch gears here a second. Let's say Joe wasn't able to save $1.5 million. Let's say he only saved $1 million, which is still a good amount. But let's say he needs the same amount per month, $7,000, and he needs that same amount per year, $84,000. He plugged in those numbers again, 84,000, $1 million, multiplies that by 100, and what did that come out with? That came out with 8.4%. So he's not within that 4 to 6% marker. So when that happens, what does that mean? Well, number one, that means that perhaps we don't have quite enough money saved in our retirement accounts to pay for the type of lifestyle that we want, but there are things that we can do. So if we don't fit that 4 to 6%, what options are available to us? What can we do? Well, there's a few things. Number one, if you see on the top, is we can wait. If you're willing to wait another year or two for retirement to save a little bit more to pay for that lifestyle, that's an option. Another one, and probably the most popular version, is Social Security. Now, again, if we don't make that 4 to 6% marker, maybe you take Social Security earlier to pay for that offset. Instead of maximize Social Security, maybe we take it earlier. Or maybe we look at our budget. Instead of going golfing 8 times a month, maybe we can knock that off to 7 or 6 times a month just to save a little bit more for ourselves. Or maybe there's other sources of income. On the bottom left, it looks like a monopoly house. Maybe you have some rental properties. Maybe you can use some of that income to pay for your lifestyle. And also 2 pensions. I know some employers still offer pensions. If that's available to you, maybe that's another way of getting to that 4 to 6% marker. But there's many things that we can do. And again, that 4 to 6% range, if we can get within that, that checks off the box, and that tells us off the bat that, you know what, we have enough money saved for retirement.